Hey, Professor. Good morning. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about environmental ethics. I'm going to talk about the three different perspectives on it: the anthropocentrism, the modern mixed view, and then the non-anthropocentrism or biocentric or ecocentric. And then I kind of want to talk a little bit about maybe some environmental policies and their relation to ethics. So first off, start with non-anthropocentrism. I hope I'm saying that right. Basically, this view it has its grounds in the idea that nature has intrinsic value, um, and it shouldn't be reduced to human interests. It focuses on like wilderness preservation. So its connection to moral theory here, this is according to our book. So from a deontological focus, so basically a rules focus, it finds its grounds in the fact that, like I said before, nature has intrinsic value, and we should therefore it should be respected. From a consequentialist approach, it would be, you would look at the effects of a certain action on nature. The outcome of that effect would be, whether it's moral or immoral. So the moderate mixed view would be a balancing between, the anthropocentrism and then the ecocentric approach we just talked about. So this is balancing a human and non-human balancing of human and non-human interests. So this view recognizes the intrinsic value of humans, but also recognizes the instrumental value of non-human beings. Um, and from a like its connections with moral theory here from a deontological perspective, non-human beings should be respected, and also human interests. The two should kind of line up. They shouldn't really interfere with each other. There should be a balance there. So from a consequentialist approach, like I said, there should be a balance there, and non-human entities should kind of balance with human concerns as well. So then in anthropocentrism, the idea there is that environmental issues should be resolved in terms of human interests. So human profits, health, happiness, those are the primary goals with this approach, and the environment is there simply to serve that. Um, so from a deontological perspective, um, or consequential, I guess consequentialist too. So the concerns are for the human beings, and a action would be its rightness to be judged based off of if it's serving those actions, or it is serving human happiness, preventing human suffering. Sort of a utilitarian approach, a little bit. So with those three perspectives, I would say I kind of fall a little bit in the middle there. I do think we should. I think humans have intrinsic value, and I think that is probably first and foremost. However, I think the environment needs to be respected and preserved. I mean, we live on this world, and it is really in our best interest to preserve it, and look at that in the long term. I kind of also wanted to discuss a little bit just kind of the debate about global warming and ethics. Um, watching the videos this week talking about the sort of the ethical approach to how we handle environmental issues, and I think that we kind of missed the mark on both sides of the aisle. I think I think that it's really easy to say, the environment is we're destroying the environment. It's all because of rich people in the West, and it's horrible, and we're exploiting all these different things, and everything is just kind of like, somebody is just making money off the back of somebody else. This whole narrative of history that's kind of looks at that perspective, and what I don't think as a generalization that's completely fair. I don't think it's historically it's not true. I know there's definitely been instances like anything. I think pointing the finger, um, like that misses the mark. I also think it misses the mark on the other side too when you just say, "Oh, well, the environment is just there to serve our interests, and we can exploit it however we want. We ignore climate change, and we'll kind of deal with it when we get there." I honestly don't think that that is the moral solution either, or from a consequentialist approach, either one is going to end up with the best outcome. When it comes to making these policies, if we're saying, we're using this argument that says, well, global warming is going to end up it's going to end up disproportionately hurting the poor people. Well, obviously, anything is going to disproportionately hurt poor people over rich people. If you have money, you can mitigate those kind of things. That's one of the joys of having money. That's why everybody wants money. So I think that argument is really pretty weak. Also, when it comes to, in Africa, when it comes to these farmers who are on these dry areas who are going to be disproportionately affected by global warming, it misses the fact that, well, these people need energy in order to, it takes energy to be a first world country. It just does. And it's like, for example, in Indonesia, there's been a direct correlation between the amount of CO2 emissions emitted from Indonesia compared to their life expectancy. I mean, it takes energy to have these innovations. And so when you look at these poor places, you say, oh, well, global warming is disproportionately hurting them. Well, it's not okay if they use fossil fuels. Well, they don't. I mean, the technology is not there in order for, these third world countries to be completely, um, you know, independent of fossil fuels in order to develop. Look at India, you look at China. These places need fossil fuels to develop. So I think having this sort of idea of this, taking this moral high ground and saying, oh, we can't do that because we're just exploiting these other people. It's like, well, they need the fossil fuels in order to get to where we're at. We're already here, you know. And so I think that part of the argument is oftentimes kind of missed. And yeah. So anyway, shoot, I'm out of time here. I just looked at that. I guess that's all I got for this week. I hope you have a good one. Thanks.